Good afternoon. Today, something sweet is happening in Thorndale, Pennsylvania. I'm here visiting my sweet family. We've had a wonderful time. We've cooked and baked, but right now we are going to make a cake called Heaven Help Me Chocolate Cake. What could be bad about that? I can't wait to find out how it tastes because I've never actually made this cake before. But right now, let me show you what ingredients it's going to take to make this cake. The first thing we're going to need is 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 cups of granulated sugar, a cup of brown sugar, a cup and a half of hot coffee. Any idea why we would put coffee in a chocolate cake? We certainly don't want our cake to taste like coffee, but coffee brings out the chocolate flavor in chocolate and it'll be super chocolate and rich. 3/4 of a cup of unflavored oil, a cup and a half of buttermilk, a cup of cocoa, 4 eggs, some baking soda, and some baking powder, and it will come out and be fabulous. So I'm going to start mixing, and I'll come back and let you see what the batter looks like when we get it mixed together. See you back in just a minute. Good morning from Something Sweet. It's been a crazy few days, and I just wanted to kind of catch up on what's been going on. I'm home back in Florida. I was in Delaware, and then I was in Pennsylvania, and I had a wonderful trip, but I'm home and kind of back in business. We did the video for Heaven Help Me Chocolate Cake, and it was delicious. My great niece and nephews were right there to help me all along the way. Allie, 10 years old, she was my camera person and she did a phenomenal job and taught me so much about this. She has her own YouTube channel, so she was able to help me with some things. And the little boys, Jackson and Hunter, were right there to help Aunt Linda with everything. I didn't get them on video, and that makes me a little sad, but one day I will. And I just want you to know how helpful they were and how much fun I had with them. After we made the cake, we had a little mishap, and Hunter and I took a tumble on the stairs. There was a pumpkin that saved us. The pumpkin was DOA, but we were okay. And I came out with a bruised rib. So I wasn't much in the mood to make videos anymore after that. So now I'm home. I've remade a chocolate cake. And together today, we're going to make a frosting for it that I've never made before. It's called Ermine Buttercream. I'm excited to make it and see how it comes out. So we'll be starting that in just a little while. I also wanted to show you another thing I got, which is always exciting for me. I ordered this from Etsy from Homemade with Love by Claudia's Designs. I want to give them a shout out. She was so helpful for me. I wanted something so I could display ingredients, and I want you to see it. Make sure it's the right way because it says Something Sweet. Isn't that beautiful? I will use this for so many different things, but mostly for making videos. So I'll be putting all my ingredients on this so that I can show them to you before we start to mix things together. Again, I apologize for the disjointed video, but we'll get things back together and be back on. Please hit the subscribe, follow, and get notifications when a new video is out. It helps me a lot, and you'll be able to see everything we make that's sweet. I hope something sweet is happening for you today, and have a great day. I'll be back in just a few. All right, we're back. We're going to start making our ermine frosting that I've been promised. It's called ermine because it's as smooth as ermine fur. Let's see how it comes out. I'm really excited about it. The first things that we're going to need, we will need granulated sugar, we will need flour, and we will need milk. So we'll start that because the first part of this is that we're going to cook a custard. So we'll get that done, and then we'll come back and show you what we'll do with it at the after that is cooked and cooled. So I've also been told just recently, I've always measured things in cups, and I'm an old Southern cook, but I've been told that it's way more accurate if we weigh things in grams, and then we're more sure that we have the right proportions. So I've got my kitchen scale here. I've got my kitchen scale, and I'm going to be weighing and putting things into the pot so that we will start to boil the custard. We'll do that right now. So the first thing we're going to do is weigh out 400 grams of granulated sugar. So we're going to pour the sugar in until it gets to 400 grams. Should be about 2 cups. We got a little bit too much. Look at that. Let's see. That is exactly, well, not exactly, 400 grams of sugar. And we will put that into our pot. We will also need flour. We will need 80 grams of flour. So we're going to measure that. Okay. Come on, flour. Okay, 80 grams of flour, which will join the sugar in our pot. We want to be sure that we whisk that completely so that when we start to cook, the flour won't clump. I've got to go on Amazon because I need a narrow whisk. I didn't know there was such a difference, but there is. And the narrow whisk would make more certain that this wouldn't get in the edges of the pot and not get whisked completely together. But for right now, we will be great. We're going to add 2 cups of whole milk. I wonder what it would be if we used half and half. But we're going to use whole milk, and we will whisk that together completely in our pot. We want to whisk that completely together before we turn the heat on. So we're going to stir that together. Once we get it stirred together, we're going to turn on the heat and we're going to bring it to almost a boil, and it's going to have to cook for about 10 minutes. I won't keep you on here waiting for this to thicken for your whole 10 minutes. We will stop the video and we will come back when this custard has started to thicken. See you in just a few. Okay, it has cooked and it's gotten really thick. If you can see how thick that is. Isn't that look wonderful? It's like a pudding. And we're going to take it off the heat here in just a second. And then I'm going to show you what we're going to do with it then. So I'll be back in just a second. Okay, the base for this frosting has thickened, but it's got to get completely to room temperature before we can finish it. We're going to add a whole pound of butter to this before we're done. Doesn't that sound absolutely delicious? But we've got to let this cool to room temperature first. So we're going to take this and we're going to pour it into a bowl. Right, and we're going to get the spoon. See if I can, I don't want to waste any of this. It looks so delicious. Make sure we got all of that out of there. All right. And because this kind of pudding custard base tends to form a film if you just leave it sitting, we're going to take a piece of parchment paper and we're going to press it all the way down onto there so that there's not a surface that's not covered, and it will keep that film from forming. So we'll do that. It may be several hours before this gets to room temperature and we can continue this process. So back to other things to do, and I hope you have some very sweet, wonderful things to do while we wait for this to happen. I'm pretty excited. I don't know how long I can wait. But let's go ahead and stop the video for right now, and we'll be back in a little while when this is cooled to room temperature. We're back, and we're about ready to take the next step in making this Ermin buttercream icing. What we'll need to do now, we've got 4 sticks of unsalted butter, and it's room temperature. It's not melted, it's room temperature. So we're going to put all 4 sticks in the mixing bowl. That's a lot of butter, huh? I think it should make something really good because butter makes everything better, I think. Rich and smooth. So yes, we're going to put all 4 sticks in here. We're going to put the mixing bowl on the mixer. And we are going to beat this for 2 minutes. So see you back in 2 minutes. We've beaten the butter for 2 minutes, and it's turned from the yellow color that we usually see butter to white and fluffy. That's exactly what we wanted. I also added a half teaspoon of salt, which gives some balance to all the sweet. Now we're going to start adding this lovely custard mixture just a little bit of it at a time and let it beat in. So we're going to add the first of that. Let it beat. More. Oh, you can see that it's changing some. The volume is getting to be more. After this next addition, I'm going to stop the mixer and scrape the sides down so we're sure it's all blending together without anything being on the sides. I'm going to do that. Scrape down those sides, all back down in there. Oh, it looks delicious. I can't wait to try it. A little bit right over here. All right, we'll turn it back on. Add more. It does look good. More. Oh, the smell. I wish you could smell it. It smells so good. More. We don't want to miss any. Okay, I'm going to scrape the sides of the bowl. We only have one more ingredient. We want to add some vanilla. turn it down. I don't measure vanilla, so we're just gonna add some. We're gonna turn it back up to medium, and we're gonna beat it for about a minute, and then we will taste. Oh, it's light and fluffy and beautiful. I guess if you wanted it to stay really white, you could use a clear vanilla. But I like the real vanilla flavor better, so I'm willing to give up a little bit of the whiteness for the purity of pure vanilla. I make my own. We're gonna look at that recipe one day pretty soon. But I make it myself and I know what's in it, and that's how I like to do it. We are almost finished. So we're gonna turn this off. We're going to look at that. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my goodness, just one little taste. Oh my word, it is so, so good. We're going to get ready to ice this cake, and I'll bring you back when we're ready to do that. We're ready to start icing this cake. I want you to remember that this is a substitute cake. It's just kind of a landscape for us to do this icing with. We ate the cake in Philadelphia. This is just a sub. So just remember that. So we're going to start icing. The first thing we'll do is put a glob of icing on here, our spatula, and we got the turntable, and we will put a layer of icing on this bottom layer. And something I do that everybody doesn't, but I find it easier to go ahead and do the sides of each layer as I'm going. And then I can smooth it out at the end. It's easier to me than trying to do the whole side when no icing has been on it at all. So this is just Linda's way of doing. Everybody has their own way. I've never had any formal training in cake decorating, so I don't claim to be a decorator. I just make cakes more for the taste than for how they look. So you'll find that as we go along. I try to make them look pretty, but that's not my main focus. So, see, we're about to have to add just a little bit of icing. Just one more little scoop so that we don't get crumbs, especially if you're doing a white icing on a chocolate cake. You want to be sure you have plenty of icing so that you don't wind up scraping up crumbs and having black crumbs in your finished product. These middle layers, it doesn't really matter so much what they look like. You're going to add another layer of cake on top of there anyway. So we've got one layer iced. We're going to take another one. And I know these are thin layers, so don't judge me based on this cake. We'll do another cake later, but there's the second one. We will go ahead and put another blob of icing on there. And we will spread that. And when we do the sides, it'll meet up with what we did on the first layer. I'm not sure, this icing is delicious and it's beautiful. I'm not sure that it would work very well if you were going to pipe anything because it's not very thick. It's not a very thick icing. So you might not want to use this recipe if you were going to be piping designs or decorations on your cake, because it might not be thick enough. But it's going to taste delicious. So that is layer 1 and layer 2. Let's go ahead and add layer 3. Okay. Sure that's sort of even. When I get finished, I'll use a bench scraper, or you can use a specialty tool that's for cakes to smooth out the sides. But that will be when I've finished with this last layer. I use my bench scraper. I use a bench scraper for so many things. And I'll use it for this, and it'll just help smooth the sides out a little bit. So, such an easy icing to work with. It just spreads so easily. And it feels so smooth. I've got a little bit more icing in the bowl. Don't want to waste any. So let's put this on here. We'll finish. We might have to stick this in the refrigerator for a little bit to kind of firm up a little bit. But guess what? This cake is for us to enjoy, not for any other reason. So how it looks is not nearly as important as how it tastes. Look at that. Let's put some swirlies on the top. And we could use different icing. For what, Sabrina?
Color.
If we wanted to put color in it, we could. This is the first experiment in this kind of icing, so we didn't do anything to the recipe at all. But I think that looks pretty good. We've smoothed out the sides pretty well, and the top has got some swirlies on it. What do you think? What do you think about that? That is a pretty dandy looking cake for just an experimental chocolate cake. I hope it tastes as good as it looks. I'll bring you back in a little while for a taste test.